Hey there, my friends. It's Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary. I'll keep my day job, but I do aspire to be the guy who introduces boxers. I think they're brothers, and they say, "Let's get ready to rumble." Anyways, I'm feeling rumbly this morning. Thankfully, I am and not my stomach is. Hey! It was Father's Day, so I had to come with a corny dad joke here to start off the week. But my friends, with that being said, we have a guest who's got much more of an interesting predicament than I do right now. Not only is she someone who's turned her side hustle into a full-time gig, she actually quit her job 2 weeks ago. She's also got a scorpion who may join the show, who's up on her ceiling this morning. Meagan, welcome to the show.
Hi. Yeah, I'm hoping he doesn't fall from up there. So
where in the hell are you calling in from that you got a scorpion on your ceiling?
I'm in Texas. I live in the middle of a cornfield. It's basically the U.S. equivalent of the Australian outback over here.
Say no more.
Yeah.
So what brought you to Legendary? What were you looking for? And what did you do before this that you recently just quit 2 weeks ago?
I was a project manager for an engineering firm. Not an engineer myself, but I was a PM for one of their departments. And I just couldn't. I always felt like the 9 to 5 wasn't for me, but I never knew how to get out of it. Had no idea how to do it other than making investments, taking huge risks, that kind of stuff. So back in December of last year, I started doing side hustle videos, and because, I saw somebody on TikTok talking about all those side hustle videos, and I was like, I'll give it a shot, see if they do anything. And they were legit, but they just weren't really for me. And then eventually I caved, and I was like, well, let's see what this other thing the guy is talking about. And I did it. And the rest is kind of history. I've been doing that for 5.5 months. I've been doing affiliate marketing, and it allowed me to quit my job. I've made twice my annual income in less than half of a year, and it's crazy.
Wow. So you cleared up a lot of questions that everybody or a lot of people typically have in this show, and they, the comments usually pop up, how long have you been doing this? When did you make your first dollar? And it's like, well, there you go, my friends. Now, that's not always guaranteed that it's going to happen like that. What do you attribute? You were actually on the show back in February as well, so this is your second time on the show. Well back.
Mm-hmm.
What do you attribute the speed of your success and the reality of it actually becoming something that's replaced your full-time income instead of something that's just kind of trickled in? I mean, this is significant. This is a career change for you. What do you attribute that to?
A lot of people ask me about my growth, and I will tell you, the two things that I tell everybody are consistency, and if you can do it, authenticity. It's number one is being consistent. Like, there are so many days when I don't feel like making content or responding to DMs or doing anything like that, but you have to do it. You have to show up every single day. And I know a lot of people equate this type of business to going to the gym, not seeing results. I don't do that because I don't go to the gym. I hate the gym. But I'll just tell you, you have to be consistent. And it's something that you do every single day. You're researching. It's not just sitting passively. You have to actively engage in the platforms. You have to learn what's changing, and you have to adapt. And that's a huge part of owning your own business or your own side hustle or something like that. And especially with the internet, that's constantly evolving.
Yeah, people are probably sick of hearing that word if they've tuned into this show quite often, consistency. But I really believe that we as human beings need to hear things over and over and over again before they finally sink in, and people, take them seriously. And so why do you think that it's so difficult for so many of us to be consistent? What are some of the things that were keeping you or could have kept you from being consistent in the beginning?
Not seeing results immediately. That's a huge challenge. And it's I get it completely. If you don't see results immediately, it's very difficult to stay motivated and to keep yourself, um, keep yourself from falling behind. I mean, it's like I look. I am all about immediate gratification. I love Amazon. I love one day shipping. I love checking out at the grocery store and picking stuff off the aisle. I'm terrible.
Who doesn't?
Yeah. So that if you're not seeing results immediately, it's very hard not to get just disappointed or discouraged. And you have to kind of work through that. I talk to a lot of people every day and they're like, I just feel like I'm not doing something right. And I tell them every time you are, but you have to stick with it. And that's why it's so hard to be consistent. In my opinion anyway, but
Yeah.
it's something that you have to kind of fight with yourself and work through and just push through it. And it's going to turn around. It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that you're honest about all that. And quite frankly, it's right in your handle, couch office mom. I think we talked about that last time you were on. You're not really out there in your content. Of course, it looks like you're working in the make money online niche. And so, you know, in your questionnaire, you said authenticity is also another thing that's working for you. And I hear a lot of that right now in the fact that you're not trying to wow and woo us with your amazing morning routine and your gym, all this. And then you come back and meditate and the heavens part and stone tablets come delivered to you and tell you what your daily list is. Sound like, you're being pretty real. And is this also how you are with your audience?
I hope so. No, I don't. I think that a lot of people have also asked me, like, do you think that, marketing is going to be replaced by AI? And in my opinion, which is not an expert opinion by any means, I think that there's a human element to marketing that AI is never going to be able to replace. And I think that having that human element, it just in your content, when you talk with people, that's huge. People want to know that they're talking to a normal person. And I am a very normal person who's unorganized, and I don't have a daily plan. I barely keep my kitchen clean. The rest of my kitchen's not clean. I just cleaned off the counter, so
and the end of the counter right there.
It's just that end that's clean.
Well, why do you think I sit behind a wall? I can't even find the whatever I need to put up things in the back here. I just set pictures down on the floor. You know what I mean? they just sit there. I get it. And do you think that people out there, like, for example, say you're working in the make money online niche and people are like looking to, make money. They're looking to quit their job. Do you think they're also looking for a hard ass morning routine and go to the gym 7 days a week and do all this motivational crap that a lot of us think we need to include? Whereas they might not be looking for that. They might also hate going to the gym. They might also have a hard time keeping their house clean. They might also have a hard time keeping their kids together and all this kind of stuff. And does that realness, relatability, whether you're showing it from a perspective of this is what my life is, or you're just doing it like with humor, do you find that more people relate to that stuff than the hardcore daily motivation? I'm going to be a motivational badass and go and have, you know what I mean? Like, are more people on the motivation side or on the, I'm having a hard time keeping it together here and I'm just looking for some extra income, relax
Yeah.
side?
I mean, I think that it's a little bit of both, honestly. I think people always they aspire. Everybody wants to have that routine and that regimen and like the health and, they want to meditate. But I mean, realistically, who has the energy for that or the time? I'm not going to sit there and meditate. That sounds super boring, number one. But
well, that's why you got to do walking. That's why you got to do, I call it moving meditation. This is where you pace and kind of walk around and just kind of observe your thoughts and how crazy you are.
Yeah, I mean, and that's fine too. I think
but at least you're moving. It's hard for me to sit still, right? So I think
Not hard for me.
I see a guy sitting like this and he's going, and I go, wow, that's a very relaxed, that's a very calm guy.
Yeah.
I'm not that calm.
Yeah.
So I get it. These kind of topics with our audience here in Legendary talking about real regular things also seem to hit home with people, such as the topic, instead of talking about, what you are going to buy with $1 million, what kind of car you're going to drive, whatever. It's kind of like, well, what was it like for you to go on video for the first time? Like, those are the things that people are struggling with and dealing with. And when you're creating content, you really got to think about where your customer is at. Where in the journey are they? Have they already gotten all the results and now they're figuring out what to do with the money, or they're figuring out what to do with the health that they now have? No, they're in the very beginning stages of just thinking about doing something about whatever their problem is. And do you find that the majority, do you validate that? Do you find that the majority of your audience is in that getting ready to get ready stage, and your job is to help them with the encouragement and the inspiration? Now, not particularly motivational quotes and all that, but just the authentic inspiration and encouragement and support that they can actually do this, or, versus getting into a lot of the complicated stuff, um, you know, and all of the dreaming and all of the things that somebody might have. Like, what are some of the common topics that resonate most with your audience?
A lot of this is kind of done on the side. I do make content kind of surrounding this, but a lot of people are worried about showing up on video and creating content.
Yeah.
And I can relate. That's why I almost didn't do this. But I was more afraid of working a 9 to 5 for the next 50 years than I was of kind of working through my own issues of why I didn't want to see myself on camera. Lots
Yeah.
of issues. And people are always like, I know this is weird, but I'm nervous to start. And if you're not nervous to start something new, I don't think you're normal or you're not human. Like that is incredibly normal, and it's a good thing. It means that you know that there's potential here. You don't want to waste an opportunity. Um, you know what you're about to challenge yourself with, and that's a very good thing. It means you take it seriously.
Yeah.
And showing up on camera, that is a very big challenge for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Huge, and rightly so. I get it. Like I completely understand. I tell people all the time. I was one of those people who would not take family pictures. Even with my kid, I had to curate every photo that my family took. If they wanted to post it on Facebook or Instagram, I was like, if I don't like it, it's not going up.
Run that by the editing department here real quick before that goes up.
And so actively recording myself and hearing my voice was very, very difficult. But I'm telling you, if I can work through that, we're just grazing the surface of what kind of issues I dealt with, that kind of thing. But if I can work through this, anybody can work through it. And it gets so much easier. You make one video and it's like, yep, that's what I look like. That's what I sound like. All right, let's start making some money.
Do you think a lot of this is about self-acceptance and just like stopping wishing that you're somebody else or something else or sound different, and just accepting the fact that this is how as you just said, this is how I look on camera, this is how I sound. Now let's get on with it and make some money.
Yeah, that's like 95% of it. It's just self-acceptance. I know like body dysmorphia is a hot topic recently, and I don't know much about it, but I know that it's real, and I know that a lot of people struggle with it. And so seeing themselves on camera and having to kind of accept certain things about themselves, maybe that you can or can't change, it's hard. And but I will tell you, and this is like a side effect of affiliate marketing and starting this business that I did not anticipate. When you kind of see yourself on camera and you realize like, this is what I'm doing, I'm going to do it and consistently and work through it, and you continue seeing yourself and hearing yourself, you do start to accept yourself and you kind of start to love yourself and give yourself more grace. And I know that sounds weird, and I'm not trying to get like preachy or anything weird like that, but that's what I experienced anyway. And 5.5 months in, less than 5.5 months in, I am taking pictures with my kid, regardless of how I look, because it's not about that. It's, it's about having those memories. And then this is not quite the same as creating content, but that it was one of the benefits of creating content that has kind of seeped into my personal life, even though personal and affiliate marketing lines are kind of blurred because it's, but I've had huge benefits from just forcing myself to make content
Yeah.
and talking with people. And it's been really great, actually.
Had a lot of additional therapeutic value, I guess, if lack of better terms, side benefits, or whatever you want to call. But very similar to you, I was trying to get and stay clean from opiates back in 2008, and once I started marketing online in 2009, I still trying to do that and afraid that people were going to find out what my life looked like, and that I had been arrested when I was in my early 20s for drug charges, and I was I was going to be it was going to be difficult for me. It was already hard for me to get a job, you know what I mean, because I always had to check that box that said I was a felon. And so when I came online, I was of course afraid of judgment. I mean, I'm 24, 25 years old, and I'm like, shit, nobody's going to listen to me, but they're really not going to listen to me when they find out all my baggage. And ironically, I shared that part of my life in a webinar one day, just because I was inspired by another guy who I heard talking about his alcohol recovery. And he was a big sales trainer that I looked up to. And I was like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? I was like, really? And so I did my thing, and I haven't shut up since.
People struggle. I mean, we all have different things that we struggle with. And a lot of us don't want that shown. And I completely understand that. But when you do share your struggles, like you said, it's a little therapeutic, not only for yourself, but you find out that there's a whole community of people who probably struggled with the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And they are looking for that connection in somebody else, and probably outside their family, because family's great, but family's biased. And, you kind of want to find another person who has been through the same thing, who can help you work through it, answer questions, or, you just share with each other. And I've actually found that with affiliate marketing. I mean, I don't talk about it often, but I've dealt with PCOS, infertility stuff. And there's a lot of people who struggle with those things. And the fact that I have found, you can tie that into what you're doing, not capitalize on it. That's not what I mean. I do not do that. But if somebody else sees that a mom with PCOS who was tired of her 9-to-5 and had trouble having a kid could quit her 9-to-5 and find an online business, like, why can't you?
Yeah,
so
absolutely. And it's inspirational no matter what you're doing, right? I mean, the fact that like you've overcome that is inspiring to me, even though I've not personally dealt with that exact situation myself, similar to maybe addiction with you, et cetera, et cetera. But we love a hero's journey. We love a hero's story. And so we may not feel heroic as we're telling our story. It may feel like a big old bag of shit, that we're like kind of like tossing out there. Boom, right? And it might be that at first, mine probably was, but over time we learn how to share and, use stories to make points, and make points with stories, not hurt ourselves through sharing. We're not trying to overshare or expose ourselves. We're not trying to capitalize, as you said, and use that as some sort of a leverage to try to get people to pay attention to us. It's just that I think it's always been like this, but particular in 2023, people need to know before they give you their email, before they buy something from your recommendation or from you, that you're a real person, that you're not a Russian spy, that you're not a artificial intelligence, that you're not a bot, that you're not some scammer sitting in some hut somewhere. You know what I mean? They want it, like, and rightfully so. Yeah. Rightfully so. We all have a right to that. Like, it's like, okay, let me see if this is, like, I hope it is. I'm not going to give you my my email until so that's why people watch, people watch us. We think that they just see one video and then make a decision, but a lot of times people follow us, they hit that follow button, or they tune in, just like people take the challenge and stop and then come back, right? Because after they see you so many times, continuing to, you know, talk about what you were talking about before, they see you continue to just show up, regardless of how you're doing. I think just showing up, as you said, consistently, it's just like a baseball team or a basketball team. If they don't win a championship or make the playoffs, they don't go, oh, we're going to sit out this season.
Right.
You get your ass back in there and you play, and that makes us believe in Major League Baseball. It's one of the great pastimes because guys and gals get out there, right, and get the job done. The whole organization does, right? Says, okay, we lost, we suck. Okay, season's coming up, time to get back out there, and that reinforces our belief as society in that sport, in that organization. And I think it's the same way with people when they pull up their TikTok, they pull up their Instagram, and they see your face, and then they see it again, and then they see it again. And that consistency and that familiarity breeds the know, like, and the trust. That's how to get people to know, like, and trust you. Have you found that you don't have to have a magical personality? You don't have to have this, like, these jokes that just slam every single time and you just, right? But do you find what I'm saying to be true, that consistency and that familiarity of seeing you on a regular basis, whether it be you're in their inbox, sending emails every day, you're on their feeds, creates that know, like, and trust?
Yeah, I think so. I definitely hope so. I mean, honestly, what you see is what you get. I'm not, I mean, I barely wash my hair every day. I don't wash my hair every day, actually. I wash it this morning because of this. So you're welcome. But
well, I can't smell it or anything, so you didn't have to do that, but thank you.
Usually I can. So, I mean, yeah, I think, and what you were talking about, having those regimented morning routine videos and stuff like that, those curated feeds, I think those are pretty. I think they're really fun to look at, and that's why a lot of people follow those creators. But we all know our houses don't look like that. We don't typically look like that or operate like that. We've got kids. We're a mess. Nobody has the time or energy to keep their house that sparkling, or so as much as we would want it, it's much easier to see somebody who looks like us and sounds like us and behaves like us and believe them, because we know that, I mean, those houses and those people are beautiful, and I'm sure that they're normal people too, but it's not what I see. It's not my normal. So I don't buy from that because I can't see myself in that situation. And I think that's what's really important, is letting people see another normal person. And, like, if another normal person can do this, well, why can't I? I'm probably smarter.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that are much smarter than me who can absolutely do this.
Yeah. I've always told people, and I think this is what came up for me when you said they can't see themselves in that, is that I've always said this, and I'm going to say it again right now. When I first started and I was marketing training to, like, network marketers and stuff, like that's kind of how I started. I was in network marketing, and then because it was all I could do. You know what I mean? It was like the only thing. Somebody came up to my first introduction was this lady coming up to me in a telemarketing job I had, and I was still in drug treatment. This was back in 2005. And she said, "Do you keep your business options open?" And I said, "Absolutely, I do." She said, "You look like a sharp person." I said, "Well, it's about time somebody noticed, And then it was 5 years of miserable failure in network marketing until I came online and started to figure out how to generate leads and build an email list. And then I was marketing training to network marketers, right? And I didn't have results at the beginning, like these huge results or whatever to share and blow people away. I just set up a landing page, and I'd be like, that's what I would share with my list or my audience. I'd be like, hey, how would you like to know how to set up a page in less than 30 minutes that you can capture emails and build your own list to then follow up with people at the push of a button? Not here's how to make $100,000 that I haven't made, or what, like, I didn't even have to say that. And today, I don't say things like that personally, because those results are too big for people to even relate to. They can't see themselves in that, going back to your statement.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you, as you're now getting results, and I'd like to plug you as a virtual mastermind speaker here coming up for us. You're actually now to the point to where not only are you a second time guest on this show, you've got your own audience, of course. So
Mm-hmm.
you're succeeding in your own right, but you're also coming back, contributing to our community and our education process, and going to be training inside of one of our virtual masterminds, and maybe even an in-person mastermind one day. What did you talk about at the beginning? And how are you still keeping your content relatable, even though now you are getting results?
In the beginning, so I don't know if you know, my sister and my sister-in-law have also started doing affiliate marketing because they have seen my results. And believe me, in the beginning, because I told them in the beginning what I was doing, I was like, y'all should do this with me. And they were like, no, we're gonna let you do this, and we're gonna pray for you, but we're here for you. And I was like, oh, okay, well, now I have to prove them wrong. So now, and probably 2 months ago, my sister was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do this. And I was like, oh, really? And then my sister-in-law did the same thing. And I was like, yeah, I told y'all. But they've asked the same thing. Like, what did you do when you first got started, when you didn't have results? And that's such an important time when you're launching, and people ask all the time. And I tell them the same thing, because it's kind of how I approached it. And it was, you don't have results. You can't really rely on other people's results, but you have to look at this. You kind of have to manifest results. And I am not a manifester. I wasn't. I didn't believe in it until I started this. And I was like, that's kind of dumb. But when you're first beginning, you have to make content, and it's all about your mindset. It's, what is this going to allow me to do? What am I going to see in the next couple of months? And so when you're creating content, it's about, I've started a side hustle. This is what it's going to allow me to do. This is what I'm going to do because of it. And even though it hasn't happened yet, you're believing it. You're changing your mindset. You're challenging yourself. And as you continue creating content, people are going to see you achieving those things that you said you were going to do. And I know that sounds weird, but that's kind of how you approach it. Like, I'm going to quit my job this year because of this. And you kind of talk about, the affiliate marketing. I said that so many times. I said it so many times. Like, I'm quitting my job this year because of this side hustle. This is what affiliate marketing. This is how I got started. This is how you can get started. And nobody questioned it. They were just like, awesome, good for you.
Like, just end the show.
Yeah.
End the show. She just dropped a bar of platinum. I wonder for the note takers out there, write it down, baby. Nobody questioned. And I love how you said that. I'm quitting my job this year. You spoke not only, and I want to let you continue with this manifesting thing, because you are truly, you've become a manifester.
Yeah, I know.
But the fact that isn't that something that we fret over the silliest shit that has not even happened yet. And what you found out was, by saying a small tweak in the verbiage, a small tweak in how you framed it. I'm quitting my job this year because of affiliate marketing. Here's the first 3 steps that I use to get started. Boom. Right? It's like, if you say it with confidence and you say it right. I mean, let me just stop there. Basically, if you just say it with confidence half of the time and it makes sense, okay, I'm quitting my job, right? That it's like I'm talking about something in the future. Most of the time, it just People are like, okay. But it's
Mhm.
when you fret about it, you don't do it. But if you're still fretting and you're like, and then you kind of half-ass it, you don't really sit. That's when people are like, why is she half-assing this? What you know what I mean? If you act like you have something to hide, if you act like you're doing something wrong, if you act, here's actually what it is. If you act like you're not worthy, or that you don't believe that something can happen,
It's not gonna happen.
and that's where really people are like, you don't believe it. And so and it's not a said thing, right? It's not like a thing that, it's just like a felt thing. It's like something that somebody can sense. I love that. Say more about it. And were you surprised that people didn't respond or question what you were saying as you were creating those videos?
Yeah, people weren't like, "Really? You're gonna quit your job?" They were just like, "Oh, she's gonna quit her job this year. I don't know when." And I said the same thing. "I don't know when I'm gonna quit my job, but it's going to happen."
Mm.
Um, and I, so Stevie was my business plan advisor, and
Haynes, yeah.
he was awesome. And he told me when I signed up, he was like, which was right at Christmas, he was like, the only thing I can tell you is that this Christmas is going to look nothing like your next Christmas. And I clung to that. And I went into creating content or this whole industry with that mindset. I was like, I want next month to look nothing like this month, and the following month, and the following month. And so I didn't have a timeline. I had no guarantee of what I was going to make or how I was going to do it. But I told myself that things are going to change. Um, and so, like you said, it is that confidence. It's that kind of belief. And I know that's hard to do when you don't have experience. I had none. And you don't know what you're doing. It's very hard to make yourself believe in that. But that's kind of when you look to these other people who have started this from nothing and who have seen the results that they wanted. And you remind yourself that it is absolutely possible for you, because you're the same or maybe smarter, or you have different.
Your house is cleaner.
House is definitely probably cleaner. You don't have scorpions on
Hair's
the
cleaner. Your hair's cleaner.
Yeah,
Your hair's cleaner than both of ours put together.
yeah, I mean, maybe you're just whatever. Like if I can do this, any normal person, or not normal, whatever. I say normal because I don't know what else I am except very average.
Right.
If I can do this, anybody can do this. And it's just about believing in that and manifesting that. And like I said, I'm not into manifesting. I wasn't, but kind of am now. And so that's a really big part of creating content when you're just getting started.
Well, the old way that people used to refer to manifesting was referring to it as self-fulfilling prophecies. That's the old school way of saying that
Yeah.
Oh, you're creating a self-fulfilling prophecy there, Jimmy. I mean, but manifesting was a little too, for I think the older generations, that was more of a millennial term. You know what I mean? Like the manifesting and the attraction, the law of attraction and all this stuff. But one thing that I did when I started in this was I got real militant about the things that were said or I said or I allowed my then girlfriend to say, and it wasn't abusive. She would just be like, "We can't afford cleaners, Dave," and I'd be like,
"How can you afford?"
I don't like that. I don't like to say I can't afford something. She's like, "But you're broke." I'm like, "Well, I'm working on getting the resources, right? I'm working on that." So over time, we've both helped each other and now have kind of a pretty strong support network all around us, whether that be, the 100 and something people here inside of Legendary, the not so corporate team, or the community and the people that are in my life. I don't have a whole lot of people around me anymore that are like, it's been a while since I've heard or been in a conversation where people are just like, I can't afford that, or like saying things like money doesn't grow on trees. Like I've not heard anything like that in a very long time. And so whether it's manifesting like I'm out, like, or whether it's the actual manifesting where you begin to speak to exist, at the very least, one that we can all start working on, beginning to eliminate those disempowering sayings, phrases, expressions. The expressions are the worst, right? Because they're easy. It's kind of like it is what it is for a guy. You know what I mean? Um, it's like, okay, hold on a second. I'm actually trying my brain to believe that I can't afford this because I'm saying money doesn't grow on trees, because I'm saying I can't afford it, because I'm focused and obsessed about that, because I'm focused on coupon cutting and budget shopping and, shopping based on sales and all this kind of stuff, instead of how can I make more money? How can I make more money? How can I upgrade my skills to where I never have to cut another coupon again? And not only, does it help to be more aware of the disempowering things that we may be manifesting in our lives, right? But then we begin, like you're talking about, to actually speak things into existence. In the example that you gave was maybe the best I've ever heard. Very simply, I'm going to quit my job this year doing this, or I'm going to buy my dream truck in the next 12 months, or this is the truck that I want. I'm going to buy it in the next 12 months. Here's the exact business model that I'm using to do so, or whatever. You can do a similar strategy for any niche in talking about anything. What has this been like for people that know you to experience this change in you?
So I did not tell people for a long time what I was doing because, number one, I was afraid of them watching me and then me failing. And so that was a huge fear. And even though I told myself I wasn't going to, it's still a fear and it's a valid one. I get it. So I did not start sharing this with people until I had results. And my family slowly found out. I made sure I turned off the function on the Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, where it would push your content to your contacts. I did everything I could to eliminate.
You uploaded all your and was like, don't show it to any of these people.
I was like, I blocked people, made sure people couldn't find me. So when people found out that I was doing this, number one, they were like, "You're like an influencer now," and I was like, influencer is a bad word here. I don't call myself an influencer, and I never ever will. But
what's worse, TikToker or influencer?
Oh God, they're so bad.
Well, it used to be YouTuber.
Oh, I'm fine with that, but so they found out
that platform is a little bit more, it's got a little bit more mass, right?
Yeah.
TikTok, it's like,
oh yeah,
a YouTuber. It's kind of like that Winnie the Pooh meme where it's like influencer, TikToker,
yep.
So YouTuber. Excuse
yep.
me. Yes, I am. Thank you.
Yeah. So people found out that I was creating content and posting on social media, and they immediately had to verify. They were like, "I need to know what your profile is so I can watch you." And then they were like, "Why are you doing this?" And I would tell them well, number one, I'm quitting my job in 2 months, and number two, I've made $100,000. So that's why I'm doing this. And they're like, "Okay, never mind." But people finding out, knowing me personally, that I was doing this were shocked. And they still are. They're still very surprised. But they're also very supportive.
Now, do you think they're more supportive because of the results? It's hard not to be. You look like a hater. You know what I mean?
They're definitely, the results, they're blown away. But more than that,
don't you skip over the supportive phase and just go right to where you actually are garnering their actual respect? But more than that, what is it?
It's more than that. They see I think that's what some of they've told me, that they see the change in my attitude. They see the change in my happiness. I can't even tell you things that I have always wanted to do was just quit my job so that I could live, because I felt like being in a 9-to-5 was being in a trap constantly. There's no way out because it's what you had to do. I wanted to travel with my husband and my 3-year-old. And I thought, well, I'm going to be working 9-to-5 forever. And I only have 20 hours of PTO a year. What am I supposed to do? I just wanted to live financially freely so I didn't have to worry about going to the grocery store. I mean, they were small things. I didn't care about buying anything. I didn't care about anything else. I just wanted to be comfortable and happy. And it's really weird. And I don't know. I was texting a friend this morning and I was like, Natalie, I think I figured it out. In the 3 weeks since I haven't had a job, I've been losing weight. I don't drink as much. And I haven't changed anything. And it is only because I'm not trying to make up for the stress and the anxiety of having a job and that kind of stuff. I'm not trying to control what I can, which is the opposite. Some people control like food when they can't control something else. I eat it because it makes me feel good.
Yeah.
I don't need that anymore. And so it's kind of been this huge shift in a lot of personal things that I did not expect.
Wow.
But yeah, it's been, these last 3 weeks have been incredible. It's been really great, honestly. I never thought I would be in my 30s not working a full-time job and just living. I don't have a routine. I don't have a schedule. I just do what I need to, what I want to. I'm not having to schedule errands around a 9 to 5. That's huge to me. And I think that's really big to other people too. And people maybe aren't interested in this just for the money, which is great. They're interested in the freedom just to be. And that was most important to me.
Yeah. You're right. Anybody who's a potential customer of Legendary, we're teaching skills to take your, to build something that you can mold around your life, not get involved with something that you have to mold your life around it, which is exactly what you described with your job. It's like not only your life and your plans, but your drinking schedule and everything else. You know what I mean? Now, if you want to have a drink, you just do it at noon or whenever. But thankfully, you're not feeling as much stress, so you're not wanting to relieve that stress with things that maybe that you don't want to use, right? Like so many of us do. Alcohol, food, porn, drugs, all this kind of stuff. I mean, there's a lot of shopping. Some of us even use like starting like courses and like the online jumping from guru to guru thing to as like that kind of dopamine rush of like, oh, I'm gonna make a change, but then the follow through is not there because of so used to having instant gratification. So how are you delaying your gratification? How are you, if you get into, now obviously you've got some gratification that's rolling in now, right? But I mean, what are your thoughts on delaying gratification at the beginning for folks who are still in their job? You've described how amazing it is on the other side of that, which that's the miracle. Don't quit before the miracle happens, right? And there's many miracles along the way. But how do you see the miracle, notice the miracle, and deal with the delayed gratification while you still have stresses of the job and et cetera going on? It is a lot to ask of an entrepreneur to be consistent, delay gratification while you have a job. And that's why entrepreneurship is not for everybody. It's why, only the strong survive, if you will. And it doesn't have anything to do with physical strength. So what are your thoughts on delaying that gratification while you're still in the storm?
I think it's understanding what you're working toward and that it's not something that's going to happen overnight. You have to understand that this is not an overnight thing, and you have to abandon that instant gratification that we want all the time. And it's it's been part of our culture, in society at this point. Instant gratification, Amazon next day shipping, all of that stuff. Like that's what we've been trained to want. And you have to recognize that and understand that this is bigger than fulfilling like an immediate want. It's working towards something that is long-term, and that's going to have long-term benefits. And and you're going to be reminded of that every single day when you wake up and you're jumping into Teams and responding to emails first thing in the morning, and you're going to think, okay, what can I do today to get me further along? That's my motivation, was not having to respond to emails, not being in these team meetings that lasted way too long. Um, and and it was like, okay, I need to move the needle today because eventually I won't be doing this anymore. And like you said, you can't rush it because you really don't want to quit your job until the miracle happens. But if you do have that mindset, that entrepreneurial mindset, and you know that this is going to take a little bit of time, or even if you don't, and you just remind yourself every single day. Like, I can't tell you how many times I woke up and I told my husband, I can't wait until I don't have to work. And he's like, you're close, you're going to be there. You just have to keep going. And of course, you have to be smart about it. You have to think, well, I need to make this much, in order to be able to replace my income. So I don't have to, there's a lot of personal stuff that you have to figure out too. And that's different for everybody based on how much you make or, what you're comfortable doing. But that delayed gratification does make you so much more proud of what you've been able to accomplish. And when I look back, I mean, it was only 5.5 months. I realize that's not for everybody, but kind of when I think about how I forced myself to push through it, I can't tell you, like, I've never been somebody who's proud of myself. It's very hard for me to even talk about myself. This is unusual, but I am so proud of myself for being able to do something like that. And there's not much that I have to be proud of myself for, but that is one of them. And I will never regret this, ever, ever, ever. This is the best thing I've ever done for me, for my family, for my 3-year-old. And it's allowed us to do so many things that delayed gratification was worth every single second, every bit of it.
Well, my friends, I mean, there you have it. If you don't believe it, believe that she believes it. I mean, am I coming in clear here? I see my internet's a little bit wonky.
All that.
What advice would you give to yourself when you started? What other piece of advice would you give to yourself when you started that you haven't mentioned so far?
Oh, man. That's kind of a tough one.
Well, it doesn't have to be the best piece of advice, just what comes to mind.
I think that not being afraid of judgment, of trolls on the internet, just ignoring it. When I was first getting started, I was terrified of being rejected by an audience, by being just absolutely roasted for either my appearance or the way I sounded or my house or whatever. I was really afraid of the rejection more than anything. And I think if I could go back, I would just tell myself, who cares? Just do it. There's going to be people no matter what, no matter what, who do that. And it's not about them. It's not about that. It is about what you're doing for your family, and it's about what you're helping other families do. So ignore it and move on. Block them, delete it, whatever you want to do. And the people who I have interacted with, of course, there are some trolls, but overwhelmingly, the people have been kind and curious and supportive and appreciative. I have very few people who are rude or mean or judgmental, which has been a huge surprise for me, for the internet.
Do you attribute that though to saying the stuff that they might possibly say to you saying it first?
Yeah.
A lot of times the trolls are only saying what they sense that you're afraid to say or that you're trying to avoid saying, right? So for me, it was like, I had no business experience. I was a recovering drug addict. I was young. I was all these things, all the obvious things, right? That if you knew me and all that, you would know. And I began to talk about those things in my content, and it took their power away.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, if you kind of accept a lot about maybe what the trolls might say, if they say something about how you look or whatever, you just accept it. And it's like, okay, well, what?
So, looks are a different thing. that goes back to the self-acceptance thing,
Yeah.
right? And we all have to accept. I know models who don't think they're skinny enough, you know, and we would look at them and go, girl, you're skinny.
Right.
But so I really think that everybody struggles with appearance in their own way.
Yeah.
And none of us have a right to judge that somebody's dealing with that more than another person. And so that really, the self-acceptance thing is so important. And I just feel like you've been on that journey hardcore over the last 6 months.
Oh yeah.
Like, this is who I am. This is the way that it is. This is my life. And a lot of us like to say what you see is what you get, but we don't really live like that.
Mm-mm.
And it's not only, not only takes all the haters' power away and all their ammo and everything when you just lay your shit out there and turn that mess into a message, but it also, as we've been talking about, creates self-acceptance as a therapeutic value. And many of us find, as I think you have too, that once you start talking and you haven't been proud of yourself and you haven't spoken up, it's hard to shut up, isn't it?
Yeah. It's like, I mean, not talking about myself really, but it's like, if I can do this, what else can I do? I've never challenged this was an investment, not just monetarily, but it was an investment in a challenge in myself. And it was like, okay, well, now we have to see what I'm actually made of. Can I do this? And when you find out that you can, you start thinking about what else can I do? And it opens so many doors, and it kind of opens like a little piece of your brain that you had tucked away and you were too afraid to access, because what if you fail? And that's something that's scary. But when you find that you're pushing through and then you see the success coming and you're proud of yourself for it, it's kind of mind blowing, and it changes everything. It changes parts of your personality, parts of how you treat other people, how you see other people and their success. I don't know, you feel self-made, and it's very validating, but you did it. You're the one who did it. And it was all on you. So there's a lot about this business and this opportunity that it's not just about money. Money it's a great bonus, but there are way more benefits to starting this than just my bank account. And if I had to do it all over again and money was like maybe not a part of it, I would still do it.
Yeah. Really powerful. Really powerful. And I'm just I'm blown away by how much this can transform a person once they, and not me, not legendary, like I'm not specifically talking about that. I believe we do have a process here that works, and it works really well for a lot of people, but you have to be willing to go on this journey as well. Nothing is a scam, friends. You always made the decision to send the money to the guy who emailed you that said he just needed $10,000 to free his king uncle, and then they'd send you the million. You know, even in that situation, you still sent the money because why? Well, the truth is you were greedy, right? That's why somebody got scammed in that situation. So personal responsibility, and not only taking personal responsibility, but also once you do take personal responsibility for like just your life, your financial situation, I like what you said. There is a certain pride to being self-made that is unlike any type of pride that exists, period. And it doesn't just have to be financially self-made. I mean, if you're taking care of your kids, if you're taking care of your home, I mean, these are all things. It's like, no, this is my shit. Yeah, I did that. You know what I mean? And I think that financial piece, because it's such a big part of society, if you can become self-made financially, even through a job, for Christmas sakes. I mean, it's not, let's just talk about financial self-madeness from just the perspective of you doing it. It really does give you a level of it gives you a level of pride. It gives you a level of self-esteem, and it makes it so other voice not as loud.
Mm-hmm.
And you begin to trust yourself more
Yes.
than everybody else. Have you seen that come true for you too? And you've said lots of things, but I would assume that this is also true for you now too, that you are trusting yourself more than you ever have, right?
Yes. Yes. Like intuition, instincts. I trust my gut more than I ever have. But that was always there. I just didn't trust it because I never really had an opportunity to test it.
Mm.
And when you allow yourself to be tested, that's where it really starts taking off. And that's part of it. And it's hard to do. It's very hard to do, especially when for most of our lives, we've been working for other people who tell us what to do. And if something bad happens, it's not usually our fault. They have to take the responsibility. But in this case, if something is not working out, you have to reevaluate yourself and see, what do I need to change? And you trust that intuition and your instincts and that research that you're doing, and you pivot, or, but when you do adjust and you do start seeing good, changes happen, then you realize that you are capable of trusting yourself.
Yep.
You are worthy of making these decisions. And I don't know, it's a really good feeling. It feels so good. It feels good. It's liberating, honestly.
That's a great word. Financial liberation, also mental, emotional, spiritual, if you will, liberation is all of the things. Physical too. I mean, a lot of us are tied to a chain to a cubicle or to an office chair or something. So there can be financial liberation as well. Well, dropping a few pounds there too. That's a little bit of financial liberation. I mean, come on now. Can't you got to count every blessing.
Oh yeah.
But it is a great word to describe the overarching benefit, freedom, liberation, these are all things that are abstract ideas, but you've laid out how they really look in your life this morning, and people are just going ape shit in the comments and loving everything that you're saying. And if you all want to hear more, what are you thinking about training on in the upcoming virtual mastermind?
Yeah, I'm all for it.
Do you have a topic yet? What are you going to talk about? What are you going to train on?
I'm not sure yet. I've been thinking, I've been trying to put a lot of thought into that, but I'm not 100% sold on one thing yet. So I'm hoping we're gonna have that figured out pretty soon.
Okay. I can't wait to see. And Joanne and I, of course, are here to give you feedback and help you work through any of that stuff. I'm so excited for you, happy for you. Just love watching your journey. This is exactly what I mean when I say come back on the show and keep me posted. Let us all see how this is transpiring in your life. And you're showing us, and you're explaining to us in ways that we can all relate to. And I hope that everybody takes, whatever lesson you needed from this morning. Maybe it was a tweak in how you're creating content. Maybe it was a tweak in how you're viewing this whole process, which I find usually to be the case, right? Usually the way that we're looking at it is flawed because we have flawed beliefs, right? It's like, well, I don't think this is really going to work for me, or I don't think I'm skinny enough, or I don't think I'm young enough, or whatever the things are. I don't think I can do this with a job, like all these limiting beliefs. But what you've reminded us this morning is that you have them. You've reminded me that I have them. And you know what else you've reminded me is that they don't go away. It's not like you become successful and all of a sudden you're never stressed or overwhelmed again. But because you've worked through other shit, specifically in your business at the beginning, that's one of the hardest things you'll ever do. You now have more confidence that you can get through it, and totally scary stuff hasn't happened in the past. It's actually, once you've worked through things, it's actually been okay. So you have more trust that you're going to be okay. And you might even learn something. And hell, you might even make some money if you push through this problem.
Yeah. Yes.
You know, you might even make some money if you push through this problem, which is exactly what I've found every single time that I've had a big problem. I turn those problems into opportunities. There's a saying, and I can't remember what it is and who said it. Might be maybe it was Buffett. I don't want to credit the wrong person, but and it's not a fun thing. It's not like that's really sweet. It's something along the lines of never waste a good crisis. Never waste a good opportunity to create something out of a crisis. And there's a lot of different ways that people have used that for both bad and good, I think, in the past. But the truth is that, well, I guess we can use it for bad or good too. You know what I mean? It's like the crisis can be the thing that creates the breakdown, again, like always, or the crisis or the bottom or the hard thing can be the thing that creates the breakthrough. And last question, accountability, since you said that word, do you find that you're more accountable for audience than any coach or mentor or anything that, any family member or anything else? Your actual audience, do you find yourself feeling accountable enough to them to show up every day and deliver for them? What is that accountability like? How have they helped you be consistent?
It's more when I get the comments or the DMs and people are like, I've been watching you since you started in January. And I have watched you do this. I still have not started yet. Or they're like, but I'm about to pull the trigger. Or they're like, I have seen you since you started in January and I'm ready to do this. And they're like, you have shown me, like, we've seen that change through the months. We've seen the changes in you. And I'm finally ready to do this. It's like they needed to take the time, not only to make sure that I was, the guinea pig, make sure that this was real, but they needed to believe it, and they needed kind of a timeline. And so hearing that kind of stuff does make me think, well, like, I'm going to keep doing it, not just for myself, but if they need to continue seeing these changes in me, I'll keep giving it to them. If that's what's going to help convince them to do something that will be a catalyst for their own lives, I'll continue making that content. And so definitely being accountable to my audience, my community, following, I definitely do feel like that's kind of a responsibility, but it's a good one to have. I'm happy with that responsibility for sure.
And you just laid out exactly how to overcome any fear or difficult thing that you're dealing with. You find that other people are inspired by it. And so it actually becomes part of like your job if you to do stuff that everybody is for some reason scared to do, and you maybe were scared to do at first, but now all of a sudden people are being inspired by this. So do you feel encouragement to keep doing scary, risky stuff because A, you're going to be okay, but B, because you're now getting all this positive feedback from people letting you know that you're inspiring them, and hell, they're buying stuff from you because you're taking these risks.
Yeah. I've never been told until now that I'm an inspiration. That was new to me to hear. I was like, what, do y'all know me? Cause I don't think you do. But yeah, people have said that my journey has inspired them. And, it does make you feel good. I mean, and that is selfish, but it does make me feel good to know that my risks have not only benefited me, but they are helping benefit other people. And hearing that, it does make me feel good, which is a small thing. It's a small thing that's just for me, and they don't need to say that. But I appreciate it so much because it is a little bit of validation. That and yeah, it helps you take these things that you've been afraid of for a really long time, even personal things that you feel like are probably oversharing, which I tend to do. But these things that you cling to that you're afraid of, and you share them, and you find that other people needed that same, they needed to know that they're not the only ones who have dealt with this stuff, like your struggles, like mine. And they find you relatable. And that's when they're kind of able to trust you. And that's when the relationship kind of clicks and they're like, nope, that's my person. I'm going to follow that person. She knows what I've been through, whether or not I've told her, but I can follow her and trust her because we've had this shared experience. And so people tell me all the time, they're like, well, I don't have anything special to add, or there's nothing special about my life.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, tell me about your life, just really fast. Tell me kind of what's going on. And they share, like, or kind of personal stuff, like they've had deaths in the family, or they have special needs children, and they've struggled with a lot of different stuff. And I'm like, why don't you share that? I know it's hard. But when you share that, you connect with the whole audience, and people see that you're a real person, and that is invaluable.
Yeah, it is. It is. And there's nothing stronger than the power of identification. Nothing stronger than that. And ironically, what we find is that sharing honestly, intimately, not sexual intimacy, but just honestly, and sharing courageously actually breaks through all of the barriers of other identification. Like, oh, I can only I really identify because they're Christian, or I really identify because they're Black, or they're Asian, or I really identify with this person because they're from Texas. Or, like, I found is all those barriers get broken through with honest communication and honest sharing. Do you find that too?
Oh, yeah, but there is without capitalizing on it. It's sharing for the sake of sharing and finding your community, not to capitalize on certain events or tragedies. I think that is very important.
Yeah.
And because if you're trying to capitalize on an event, that is crystal clear, and it comes across, as
Slimy.
Yeah.
Slimy.
And that's not what it's about. It's about connecting with a broader audience and people, and honestly trying to help, wanting to help these people through shared experiences. It's not.
Yeah.
So that's the way that I look at it.
And I love that. And it's been my experience too. Meagan, I could talk to you all day. And I think many of these 400 now still on could listen to you all day. And they can over at Couch Office Mom on both TikTok and Instagram. Go follow Meagan, give her a like, give her some support. You still need it, right? You're not so successful that you don't still welcome, right? And that's what is important for everybody to remember here is even me. There's nobody. I like to knock myself off pedestals all the time, because the biggest thing that each of you can take from this today is that your life, your condition, your situation, you as a person, you have everything that you already need to be successful. You may need a little information, but inside of you, you as a person, you are enough. You are enough. You have enough motivation, drive, all that. You have enough. You have enough. Probably, I could say, a service-oriented heart. Like, you want to help. We all have this in our nature. It's not a certain personality type that it can succeed doing this. It's not a certain type of person. It's really just the biggest hurdle that each one of us has to jump over is believing that we ourselves are enough, that we're good enough, that we, and having enough self-acceptance. The other thing is realizing that fear is part of it. Somebody said in the comments, I want to do this, but I'm scared to death and I don't know if I can. Well, we all were. And if you say you can't succeed because you're scared, you can't. If you say you can succeed despite the fear, because that's really what bravery is going through something despite the fear, you can, as you've talked about so much today. So thank you for your time today. Again, please come back and see me on this show again, but I know that I'll be seeing you at the virtual mastermind and hopefully having you speak at a in-person mastermind one day. And I know your career will continue to flourish from here. And I'm just grateful that you're willing to come back and give back to our community. So thank you again, Meagan, so much, and keep up the great work. All right.
Thank you.
All right. We'll talk to you later. All right.
Bye-bye.
See ya. All right, my friends, go follow Meagan if you want more inspiration, realness, authenticity, all of the things that she's delivered here for us in this hour and 14 minutes this morning. If you want to know when the virtual mastermind is, well, dadgummit, I'll tell you. You have to be signed up for it. Of course, you have to have a mastermind ticket. The virtual mastermind is actually something that comes with that. Okay, it comes with that, believe it or not. So let's see here. Don't we have a virtual registration? Hold on a second. Maybe I can get it from my team in Slack. If you guys have that date. August 26th, my friends, August 26th. So if you have a mastermind ticket, even if you've bought one in the past, you will be able to attend that virtual mastermind. We're really trying to make this as accessible to everybody as we can. And so if you have a mastermind ticket, you can come and attend that virtual mastermind and hear Meagan teach and train, as well as several other speakers. Get out of here, my friends. Have a fantastic Monday. It's June 19th, my friends. We are almost January, February, March, April, May, June. We are almost halfway through the year. Okay. That means, I'm not thinking in the past, that you have an opportunity to make this the best second half of any year of your life. And just like Meagan said, you have an opportunity to make this Christmas or whatever you celebrate during the holiday season the best one ever. Go get it. Be legendary. Get out there. Peace.